Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be part of the first Georgian International Insurance Conference, and it was my great pleasure to accept the kind invitation from the ICSPRIM and the Insurance State Supervision Service of Georgia. I am sincerely thankful to the main host, Mr. Onoprashvili, and the first deputy, Mr. Tutaravashvili, and the whole team of the Insurance Supervisory Authority from Georgia, who really support me because I was traveling for 2 days to reach this conference because of the visa issues. But however, I succeed in the last moment to arrive very late, early morning today. Also, I would like to extend my gratitude to the ICSPRIM staff, Sergio, Daniela, Oleg, and Georgina. Before I deliver my presentation, I would like to point out some kind words for the ICSPRIM, but with the relation of the introductory remarks of Mariusz. Mariusz, in his introduction, said that we need more discussion. We need more exchange of experience and exchange of different case studies. In that role, the ICSPRIM has very important, very vital role about their contribution for networking all insurance stakeholders among the Central Eastern European countries, but also even more from Trans-Caucasus countries, where Georgia belongs to this region. So I think that the best approach how we can develop the insurance market is really to have all the time continuously discussion and exchange of information. Basically, we are facing with the same challenges. For me, today, it's not easy to start with my presentation, not because of these 2 days traveling to Tbilisi, but that I missed the dinner yesterday because my perception was to taste the famous Georgian wine and cognac. So without any experience in consuming the wine, I will try my best effort to deliver interesting presentation because always I found inspiration in a good wine, because in Macedonia also we have very good quality production of wine. For your information, because we mentioned that actuaries are very, very important assets for the insurance sector. Thanks to ICSPRIM, we organize every year actuarial conference. That was the first conference from ICSPRIM this year, and that was happened 2 weeks ago. But however, this invitation will come to you maybe for the next year. So my presentation will consist of 2 parts. The first, I will give some also introduction word about the importance of the MTPL, and the second, it's related with the latest developments and regulatory and supervisory challenges on the MTPL business in the Western Balkan countries. Western Balkan countries are non-EU, but European countries, and it consists this region of 6 countries: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, and Macedonia as well. For my introduction on the first part, which is related for the importance of the MTPL, I would like also to make a reference that this was part of my research paper because I have some academic background, and I was part of the World Bank project, and you can find very nice booklet from the World Bank, and you can download free from the website of the World Bank, and it's about the motor third-party liability experience in developing countries. So this will be a good lessons for all of you, and just type it in Google, World Bank book, MTPL in developing countries, and you will check different experience in the world about how the MTPL was set up and the comparison between the state-regulated MTPL tariff and the liberalized MTPL tariff. So that will be a very good starting point for in the case of Georgia. So motor insurance is the most important line of business in all developing countries. As we saw from the previous presenters, we saw that in developing countries over 40% of the MTPL belongs or they participate in the overall insurance market. MTPL has been introduced in the formerly socialist countries only in the past decades, and it is poorly understood. Why? Because the citizens, when they started MTPL as the mandatory, the citizens inclined to view it as a form of tax, paying the tax, and they like more to avoid to pay the tax instead to buy the MTPL. So they didn't understand the concept that this is the protection. As Mariusz said, MTPL we need for the owners of the vehicle, not only for the victims. According to the first major report on road injury prevention, jointly issued by the World Health Organization, the World Bank, road traffic injuries are a huge public health and development problem. Motor accidents causing deaths and injuries in the developing countries up to 8 times comparing to the rate in industrial countries. And the World Health Organization, this phenomenon called for the motor accident as a hidden epidemic. So it's a huge burden to the society and to the economy. The data from the World Bank said that the traffic injuries, killing almost 1.2 million people a year and injuring between 20 million and 50 million more. Also, the World Bank and the World Health Organization estimate that these injuries and these accidents will rise dramatically in the next 10-15 years, particularly in the developing countries. Not only is 90% of the current burden already borne by low-income and middle-income countries, but the increase in casualty rates will be greatest in these countries. Although data on the cost of traffic accidents are rare, particularly for low-income and middle-income countries, these injuries clearly have an enormous economic impact of individuals, families, communities, and nations, costing countries enormous 3 to 5% of their gross national product. So you can be aware how is the economic cost of the traffic accidents. So how the society can benefit from the motor or MTPL insurance? Insurance can be very effective driver towards improving road safety along with different governmental initiatives, both on the road and traffic condition, as well as on education matters, especially awareness campaign, including driving training, but also including pedestrian safety education, which also has a major role to play. So I will not explain more about what is the benefit for having MTPL as a mandatory insurance, but however, by pointing out these economic consequences of the road accidents, I think that everyone is aware how it's important to have MTPL, but as a mandatory insurance. Also, the research found that those countries who didn't implement mandatory MTPL, they really have difficulties for the whole economy and for the whole society. Now I will give you some, with the next slide, interesting statistic about the correlation between, which is in the case of Italia, between the road accident frequency and the MTPL when it was introduced in Italia in 1969. So, the MTPL was introduced, as I said, in Italy in 1969, and the data shows that the number of road accidents deaths since beginning in 1969 is largely reduced. In the beginning was 9,000 in average death accidents and declined to 3,000 in 2015. Although the number of circulating the cars is more than double, meanwhile. The claims frequency since the introduction of the liberalization tariff in 1994 halved from that year. So, before that was the frequency of the accident, the claims frequency was 11%, and in 2015, the claims frequency was above 6%. These downtrends were directly affected, of course, because of the more improving on the safety future of vehicles, intervention on the infrastructure, road safety, but also the research shows that the MTPL was one of the crucial factors. That's why we need the MTPL. So why the MTPL should be compulsory? There is no need additional explanation. We say already we explain. But also just I would like to add that by better understanding of the MTPL brings better understanding of the other insurance products. So wider sales and broader penetration of insurance across all classes will help the economy in many ways. As I said, in contrast, countries without compulsory MTPL insurance have made much slower progress in all of these important matters. Okay, so what should be the main elements of the MTPL insurance? It is of utmost importance to gain the trust of the public by developing a system that is seen to be transparent, efficient, and equitably run. Such a system would be free on unfair market practice and promote the timely settlement of claims. Also important are efforts to reduce the proportion of uninsured vehicles because their accidents are costly for the guarantee fund. No less important is the efficient collection of data. Reliable data can assist with the processing claims, tracking uninsured vehicles, pricing products fairly, and preventing fraud. So the main elements of the MTPL system can be summarized in these 5 pillars: the legal structure, actuarial methodology, contingency reserving, reinsurance, claims management, and information service. So now we'll give you some brief explanation of those pillars. Legal structure means it should include systemic factors such as the role of the courts and tort system in the country, minimum cover, thresholds and limits, then whether the insurance goes with the car or with the owners, the overall role of liability law or the contract law in the country, the working of any tariff systems, links to the role of the traffic police is also important. Tariffs for compulsory insurance should be based on a reliable statistical foundation and database. The most important role has the regulatory and supervisory authority. I will come back again on this issue, and also I will make some reference to what Mariusz previously said about the role of the supervisory authority. But the most important is the availability of reliable data, because are very important for the effective market discipline. The government and the insurance regulatory and supervisory authorities should establish a reliable claims database that will make public the average pure premium for various generic risk categories. The compilation of statistical data regarding the frequency and severity of losses is an essential condition for accurately computing third-party liability tariffs and technical provisions. About the actuarial methodology, includes the foundation for establishing premium rates and for posting reserves to meet current and future claims. So this is very important, as I understood that in Georgia you will have a big challenge with the capacity of actuaries. We had this case also in the past in Macedonia. Contingency reserving. This means the state guarantee fund. Guarantee fund should be established to compensate victims who are victim or the accident caused by uninsured vehicle and unknown vehicles. Claims management and information service, including data collection, information sharing mechanism, and claims services. The claims management procedure should be transparent. Companies wishing to underwrite insurance on MTPL should be licensed. Very strict license rules should be applied for running the MTPL business. Strong implementation and enforcement are needed, including ensuring the timely processing of claims, which are needed to protect the right of the policyholders. Insurance companies need to establish a complaint handling system, and also the insurance association needs to have a clear and strong role in this area, because it should be the same rules for the MTPL claim settlement procedure. And the last, but not least, in this pillar is the importance of the reinsurance. The reinsurance should be tailored to the solvency requirements and financial standing of each particular insurer. One of the key elements, which was in the first pillar, is the role of the supervision authority. Already Maurice mentioned and point out the most important dimension of the role of the supervision. I will highlight some of them. Supervision is not always popular, especially for the industry, and it's not cheap. Why it's not cheap? Because the supervisory authority should be financed or should be funded by the industry. So industry finance the operation of the supervisory authority. That means that the supervisory authority must have resources. Resources meaning, first of all, financial, but also they need financial, organizational, and political independence. Otherwise, you will lose the game. There are many cases in the Europe, especially in the Central Eastern European countries, where the politicians are very much involved in the decision-making processes in the supervisory authorities, and always in those countries we have a huge problem in the market. So therefore, it should be taken the hand of the politician to the supervisory authorities. One of the crucial assets is to have proper staff. You need to hire and to train the staff. Without professionals who are working in the supervisory authority, you will not have success. You need to spend your financial resources in increasing the capacity of all employees in the supervisory authorities. Even the salary of the supervisory authority must be on the level, on the average on the industry side. So that is very, very important. In that respect, also I would like to send like a message that it's good to have FSAP project. FSAP is a financial sector assessment project or program, which is run by the World Bank and the IMF. We had this experience last year, and that can give a very good ground and very strong messages to the government how to improve the capacity of the supervisory authority, especially in terms of the financial resources and the independence of the authority. So you can apply for this program, for this project, and the World Bank and IMF can help you. Okay. Now about the implementation process. Today I understand, I learned that very soon your law will be, it's in the parliament procedure and it will be voted in the parliament. But you are starting from the scratch. So this slide actually is part of this World Bank research project that also I participate. And this is like a three-step process that all jurisdictions must pass when introduce the mandatory MTPL insurance. So, in the beginning, the most important role has the government and the government institutions, means the Minister of Finance and the Insurance Supervisory Authority. In their hands, it's the terms and conditions, the tariff, the reserving, the database. Without these important sources, you cannot have successfully introduction of the MTPL. So one of the huge challenges that you will have in the beginning is that the premiums will be set up by the government or by the supervisory authority. Now always it will be a discussion and to find the balance, the best trade-off to be politically correct for the citizens and which price to introduce. But in this discussion, it should be not any political interest. The prices, the tariff, must be reflect of the actuarial methodology, how to set up the prices, the tariff. And this is based on only on the quality and accurate data and to have qualified actuaries, high professionals who can calculate the tariff on the right way. Otherwise, you will be the victim of the political games if the prices and if the terms and conditions of the MTPL policy will be created by the political willingness. So this will be the worst and the bad lessons that you can learn. So you must have high confidence to the actuarial work. But for having a good actuarial work, you must have database. This is very important. Central database. I know that you're in the beginning. Already we heard that you don't have such database, but you will need time. At least 10 years, you will have a big challenge and a big headache how to improve the collection of the data. So now I will come to my region and I will share with you some data and some important figures about the MTPL market in the region of the Western Balkan countries. The Western Balkan region is less developed insurance market in the Europe. It's not much different than you have here in Georgia. The lowest penetration rate is in Albania with 1.04%, and the highest penetration rate we have in Bosnia and Herzegovina with 2.16%. MTPL is the most dominant line of business, and in Serbia has 34% market share, which is the lowest, and the highest in Albania with 63%. The general description about the market that especially in the MTPL, that we have very high market concentration, which means very high market competitiveness among the industry players, especially when we take into consideration the size of population and the number of vehicles per 1,000 inhabitants. So there is a very, very strong competition. And I highlight this competition because this high competition, when you have regulated tariff, then you influence the market behavior of the insurance companies. And that is a huge challenge for the supervisory authorities. Here also you can find data about the density rate and the penetration rate for MTPL. And it's very rare to find this quality of data. But thanks to the cooperation that we have among the Western Balkan countries, always we have the quality data and we share among us. Now about the regulatory environment. Here it's like a questionnaire, and where you can find some important information about the regulatory environment in all these Balkan jurisdictions. All 6 countries follow and implement EU motor insurance directives, but not in all the countries in full scope they were introduced the motor insurance directive. The reasons are because the countries are on different stage of political processes for EU accessions. Then they have different market environment and differences in the regulatory framework environment. But I will just explain some of the most important. About the liberalized and regulated tariff, except Albania, who has fully liberalization of the MTPL tariff since 2018, no other countries they have liberalized the tariff. So we have state regulatory tariff, and each country they have different state regulation of the tariff. But however, the government has the important role, not the supervisory authority, which is a mistake. And also this is a mistake in our case, in my case, in the case of Macedonia, where the Minister of Finance is in charge for setting the tariff. Then, bonus-malus system, very important. Not all the countries have successfully implemented bonus-malus system. Bonus-malus system, the only country who, from the other hand, is liberalized on the tariff is Albania. They don't have bonus-malus system, but all the other countries have implemented. But except Macedonia, who started with the bonus-malus system in 2006, the other countries, they started 2-3 years ago. So they don't have much experience in the bonus-malus system. For bonus-malus system, you need centralized database. And we have it that in Macedonia, but also in other countries they have it. But I will say that the other countries, they learn from our case how to successfully introduce the centralized data system. So I am able to share with you, and I think this is a very good, one of the very positive remarks and achievements. Even the World Bank said that we have one of the most sophisticated central database system. Then, regarding to the minimum insurance sum, not all the countries they are harmonized with the EU directive regarding to the motor minimum insurance sum. We have slowly harmonization with the insurance sum. Then, the next one is about the green card system. Except Kosovo, who are not member of the green card system, all the countries are member of the green card system. But we have different pricing. For example, in Macedonia, in Albania, we have single premium and single insurance policy only for the green card, which is not the case in Albania, which is not the case in Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro. They have single premium, which is linked with the domestic MTPL. So we have different system. On my personal experience, I think it's better to have single premium for the single policy, which means the green card coverage to be included in the one insurance policy that cover the domestic risk and, of course, abroad risk. Okay. One of the hot issue, it's about the distribution channel. I will come later about this with some data, but related with the distribution channel is the question of the intermediary fees, commission. It's a very, very huge issue, especially when you have regulated tariff. So some of the countries, they have regulated commission fees, which is the case in Montenegro, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, even in Kosovo. Only Macedonia and Albania, they don't have any regulation regarding to the fee, to the commissions. What is the experience? When you have limitation or regulation on fees, always the supervisory authority will lose the game. So leave it the market. Don't pay attention about the regulation of the commission fee. The focus of the supervisory authority should be checking the technical provisions. Otherwise, you will lose the game if you like to control the intermediary commission, because always the companies, the industry are one step forward, and they are very innovative and very creative how to avoid this regulation. Okay. This is some figures that will give you some idea about the average premium and the average gross claim paid in our countries, in our regions. The lowest average premium for the all vehicles has Serbia, 110 euro. You can find also statistic for the average premium for the all vehicles, but also you have find numbers for the average premium per type of vehicles, like passenger car, buses, and trucks. The highest average premium for the all vehicles in average has Bosnia and Herzegovina with 152 euro. About the gross claims paid average, the lowest it's in Montenegro with 800 euro, and the highest gross claim paid in average has Albania with 1,800 euro. The structure of the claims paid divided by material damages and non-material bodily injury. You can see from this slide that Serbia, Macedonia, and Montenegro material claims are higher than the bodily injury comparing to Albania and Kosovo. But however, this is the number for 2018, or for some countries 2017. But if we take a look historically, and if we consider like last 10 years trend, we can notice that we have increased trend on body injury claims because of the increased trend of court cases and increased inflation of court decision for the same bodily injuries even. So the court, year by year, for the same cases, they decided higher and higher claims. Some of the countries started with the initiative to implement criteria for bodily injuries. This is the case in Montenegro, but also you have discussion in the other countries, including Macedonia. So our idea or our message as a supervisory authority to the government is to impose criteria for non-material damages. But we will see what will be happened. In terms of the profitability of the MTPL business, calculated by the combined ratio, we will see that almost in all countries we have combined ratio which is less than 100%, which means it's a profitable business. But if we make some deep analysis, we will see that we have some strange situation, that in most of the countries, the expense ratios are higher than the claims ratio, which should not be a case. That means that the companies are sometimes very poor on paying the claims on the fair value and on time. And from the other side, because of the regulated tariff, we have, and because of the high competition, we have a big fight on the field with very high commission, high marketing cost. The companies have very poor cost management, and also they have very poor credit risk management. So this is one of our highest challenges, how actually to turn the things that the claims ratio should be higher than the expense ratio. In terms of distribution channel, we have different experience in different countries, but that is depend of the regulatory environment. In the case of Macedonia and Montenegro, we have more diversification distribution channel, but in case of Kosovo, we have only direct sales. So that depends on the regulatory environment. So those were the numbers about the region. Now I will finish with some experience in our case, in case of Macedonia, about the role of the supervisory in dealing with the MTPL challenges. The Insurance Supervisory Authority in Macedonia was established end of 2009. So we have experience on only less than 10 years. Before that, it was not supervisory work. The Minister of Finance, they have some unit, but with a very limited scope of power and with limited resources. So in the beginning, without any experience, I'm in this position as the head of authority since the beginning when the supervisory authority was established. The problem was to hire professional staff. We hire young people who like to work hardly and to study and to learn about insurance. So what we did, first we asked the World Bank to support us and to give some good advice about the MTPL and how to face and how to fight with the challenges regarding to the MTPL. And they give us technical assistance, and maybe you know because the same expert is involved here in Georgia, Mr. Eugene Gurenko from the World Bank, and thanks to his support and with common and joint action that we did in 2012, it was a project actually for the, how to prepare the market and the supervisory authority for liberalization of the market. But we used this project to make assessment about the overall condition in the MTPL and what should be done in order to be better prepared for the liberalization of the MTPL market. So we have some good findings, and most of the findings were that the companies were not sufficient reserve. They have inaccurate industry data. They have very high cost in their business model. So also in the market there were high level of uninsured vehicles. Then the court was also and the juridical system was very bad. And all these findings from this project create some strategy for us consist of these three pillars. So our attention after 2012 was more focused on technical provision, more focus on reinsurance, and more focus to control the premium if the companies sell the premium based on the tariff. Our first focus was the technical provision. What we need to check the technical provision, we need actuaries. We don't have enough sufficient number of actuaries. Then the government gives us, the supervisory authority, the power to organize the actuarial education. We hire foreign experts, foreign professors, and we have new generation of actuaries, and all of them are now involved in the insurance market. Second, together with the National Insurance Bureau, we strengthened our central database that exists since 2006. We check the quality of data, the accuracy of the data, but also we increase by imposing different risk criteria for this central database. And after all these efforts from our side, we increase for a very short period, for the period of 3 years, we increased the level of technical provision for the 50%. That was very painful for the companies. Most of the companies, they need to inject new money, new capital, because they were under Solvency I capital requirements. But in the end, now we have a favorable market condition in our market. The companies are in a good shape, and now they are ready to face with the challenges to liberalize the MTPL market. So what are our next two important challenges? To introduce risk-based supervision and to introduce the liberalization of the MTPL. We have solid ground, and we are ready to face with those two challenges. I encourage our colleagues from Georgian Insurance Supervisory Authority that they can visit us, and we can share more experience about how we deal with the MTPL insurance regulatory and supervisory challenges. So that was all from my side, and I'm happy later on to have a discussion in the panel. And if you have any question, just please feel free to address.